Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and I know what you need in your life. You need a giant freaking nerd. That's me. I'm the giant nerd. To explain every detail and thing you missed about the ending of the Fantastic Four. It's absolutely crazy post-credit scene, and also Doomsday stuff. Just throw some Avengers. We're gonna talk Avengers Doomsday. Throw it in there.
But wait. There's more.
Okay, so the end of this movie really begins in the second act after Silver Surfer shows up. First part of the movie's all happy-go-lucky Fantastic Four. Everybody loves them. They're great. Anyway, the Fantastic Four are really feeling themselves, and they're all excited for the coming of baby Franklin. But then the Silver Surfer shows up, and things get real bad. She's like, hey, yo, are you the protectors of this world? Sue Storm's like, yeah, we are. And she's like, hey, yo, your world is marked for death. Seriously, put your head in between your knees and kiss your asses goodbye. I herald your end. I herald his beginning. His name's Galactus. You're all about to die. And then she's like, peace out, bitches, and surfs away. So this is obviously very important. It sets up the ticking clock, the adventure of them going to stop Galactus to save their world. However, there's something else that happens that sets up important plot elements. I'm talking about Johnny having a moment with the Silver Surfer. She says something to him in her native language. And the thing is, we've already heard this alien language earlier in the movie. Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four have monitoring satellites out there in space, and they have been receiving countless messages from other planets. A lot of these planets end up getting destroyed, but that'll come back into play later. So at this point, the whole world knows Galactus is gonna kill them all. And I mean, why wouldn't the public believe this? So they head off into space, and it's an epic moment. Everybody's heroes going out into the unknown to save us from a crazy space god. Except that shit goes way bad. They roll up on a planet. It's already being destroyed. They have to kind of like scramble to get out of the way of everything. Galactus finds them, sucks them into his hole. Pause. The Silver Surfer gets all up in their shit. Pause. And while this is happening, Galactus scans them all, including Franklin Richards. And there's something about Franklin Richards that has made Galactus more open to negotiation. So they're led down this really crazy science fiction looking thing to Galactus. And while this is going on, Johnny attempts to rizz up the Silver Surfer once again. He asks her, what did you say to me when we were back on Earth? And she repeats the line in her language, and she tells him it means die with yours. That's gonna come back into play later. So anyway, they get in front of Galactus. He's dope as fuck. Exactly what I wanted from Galactus, and he's also pretty indifferent to their suffering and the lives of mortal people in general. However, he does make them an offer, and the offer is to give up their unborn child, Franklin Richards. Because Galactus explains Franklin has the power cosmic and therefore can replace Galactus. Galactus talks about this cursed throne and how this being, Franklin, could get him off of it and take his place on it. He says that Franklin hides his nature from the family. And then Galactus does something super fucked up and uses the power cosmic and his technology to trigger a birth.
Oh my God!
So Sue Storm goes into labor and they all decide to escape. They stall the Silver Surfer, get back into their ship, shoot out of Galactus's ship, and get back into light speed. And all the while, Sue Storm is giving birth. This part is crazy. I could gush about this middle sequence here, this second act stuff, for like an hour. It's seriously awesome, but we got to get to the ending here. So they escape with some crazy space maneuvers, Reed Richards doing his thing. They get back to Earth and they have to admit to everybody they did not defeat Galactus. And then Reed, for whatever reason, admits that Galactus said he would spare the Earth if they gave up their son. And every single person on Earth is like, yeah, that sounds like a great deal. Billions of lives, one kid. Like, sorry, Reed, like that sucks, but like, what are you saying here? Reed begins desperately trying to figure out a plan, but he can't because he admits that Galactus is like 14 billion years old. He comes from a different universe. He is beyond Reed Richards' understanding. Reed says it would take him 10 years to examine all of the samples they gathered to learn what Galactus really was. While this is going on, the public is getting way butthurt, man. Like, nobody wants to die, so I totally get it. They end up gathering out in front of the Baxter building, and it looks like there's gonna be a riot. But then Sue Storm literally takes Franklin out into the crowd, gives a big speech about how the the actual people of Earth are also family to the Fantastic Four. She says that she's not going to give up her child to save this world, but she's also not going to give up this world to save her child. I love this. It mirrors Shala Bao, who we will later find out is literally sacrificing worlds to save her child and save her world. And Sue says something at the end of that speech claiming that she would move heaven and earth to help her family. Reed hears this and has a crazy idea. He's now going to teleport the entire planet across the universe so that it would take millions of years for Galactus to eventually find them again. This is a terrible plan. I'm just going to be honest with you. This was wild, right? And a lot of people are bringing this up. They're like, I don't know about that shit. But honestly, like, the world's super desperate. They trust the Fantastic Four almost implicitly. So I get it. I kind of get it for the sake of this film. There's a lot of factors here that build into the trust that the world would have, how desperate they are, etc., etc. But it is pretty wild. Like, if you're about to tell me you're going to teleport the entire fucking planet, I'm going to be like, wait, what? No. So anyway, they start building all of these crazy teleporters around the world. It goes really well. They even, like, get the world to stop using their power. That's another thing that you know is only in a movie. Like, the real world would not do that. In fact, they would waste more power being on social media to complain about that. We would be fucked if Galactus came. That's what I'm saying. Like, we would be fucked. But in this world, everybody's like giving up their electricity and shit. It's really interesting. They save all the power. Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter because the Silver Surfer comes in and shits all over Reed Richards' plan. Just boom, 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 blowing up these fucking teleporters. Like, who gives a shit? Oh, but wait, Johnny Storm learned her language and he comes after her. They have a moment thing, but also Johnny is just bombarding her with the cries of these other planets and her own planet's language. Basically, he hits her with a crazy guilt trap. He's like, bitch, I figured out your language. I know exactly what's going on. You were shallow about. You made a deal with Galactus. You're killing billions of people so that your children and your world can stay. That's fucked up. You're fucked up. Do you feel bad? Because you should feel real bad. And she does. And she cries woohoo and flies away. So then Reed Richards is like, okay, we're kind of fucked. We have one teleporter left. I say we use our own son as bait. And everybody's like, what the fuck? But Sue is kind of primed for this already. Like, Sue is like kind of made peace with the fact that Reed is going to go through every single possibility, even the horrible ones. They have a fight about that. It's great writing. It's great setup. This movie's fucking crispy, man. I really like this film. But the point is, Sue actually goes along with this, understanding Reed, the risk, their situation, what they need to do. They do it. They put baby Franklin in this weird shielded baby cart thing, and they put him right where the last teleporter conveniently lies in Times Square. Galactus then rolls up himself because Silver Surfer is seemingly gone at this point, so he's like, fine, I'll do it myself. But we didn't see that. But I'm guaranteed he said it. He has to have seen the Infinity Saga films. He said it. It drops down to Earth and goes after baby Franklin Richards. And honestly, the plan's kind of working. Like, Johnny burns Galactus's eyes so he can't see as well. Pretend to try to stop Galactus, making it seem like that it really is where the child is. Galactus gets right up there. They did the switcheroo though, and at the very last moment, Galactus realizes that they did the switcheroo. He even says like clever little bugs or some shit. It's like super dismissive and offensive. I loved it. And then he goes after actual Franklin Richards in the Baxter building and he gets him, dude. He literally gets him. He's got him in his hands. It was crazy seeing that little baby in that big old purple hand. Oh no. Then Sue Storm taps into that malice power from the comics. She snaps a little, goes, you know, mama bear, and she starts pushing Galactus back towards the teleporter. And she tells Reed and the rest of the family, get Franklin, get the boy. So basically, Sue Storm uses an incredible amount of power and pushes Galactus into the teleporter, but it basically kills her. Galactus is seemingly teleported away, but then oh no, he's not teleported away as he reaches back through and threatens to come back in and take Franklin once more. Johnny Storm sees what's happening and he decides to be a hero. He tells everybody, hey, tell Franklin that Johnny loved him and I sacrificed myself. Therefore, I am the best. And he goes to kamikaze Galactus into the portal. But then out of nowhere, the Silver Surfer comes from the top rail. She hits Johnny out of the way, gives him a little wink and says, maybe we will bang someday. And then she hits Galactus, slamming him into the portal, teleporting him away. But oh no, Sue Storm is dead. Reed tries to resuscitate her. He can't let go. Ben tries to console him. as Franklin starts freaking out. The baby desperately wants to go over to his mother's corpse, and they all allow it, shocked and in sorrow. And then baby Franklin's like, get up, mom, boom, and does some crazy power cosmic dope. What the fuck was this? Using his insane power cosmic X mutant gene omega level, whatever the fuck. Franklin Richards literally brings his mom back to life. Now, one thing I want to point out here, her eyes got all purplish, really reminded me of when Peter Quill tapped into the power of his father, Ego, the living planet, which is a celestial in the MCU. So the power cosmic seems to be the thing here. Maybe connected to the Celestials, maybe connected to Galactus, and I think obviously connected to Franklin here. So he uses that godlike power and brings her back to life. Sue Storm says to Reed, he's not like us, he's better, which is a wild thing to say, but yeah, she just got brought back to life by her son. It's insane. Now the actual movie ends happy-go-lucky after this. Everybody is good. They saved the day. Oh, also all the people were evacuated down to the mole man's place, but that's not really that relevant to me. It literally just feels like a plot line so they don't get the Man of Steel criticism of like Galactus is slamming into buildings and people are dying. Yeah, okay, 5-minute evacuation of millions of people into Subterranea makes a lot more sense. Anyway, the ending's good. I like the ending of the movie, but it's really just like they're happy, they're all together, Franklin's developing. We do jump a year into the future and get a 5-year anniversary of the Fantastic Four. But next up, let's talk about this post-credit scene, man. This post-credit scene, though. This shit was so dope. We open up 4 years later after the 5 years of the Fantastic Four. So technically 5 years since they defeated Galactus. We're in the Baxter building. Sue Storm's reading a book to Franklin, but he wants another book, which, by the way, I have a toddler. This is what they do. She goes, gets another book, brings it back, but wait, there's somebody in the room. By the way, there is a sound of like a teleporter thing or something going off in this scene. Sue activates her power, turns the corner, ready to attack the assailant, and we see Dr. Doom with his mask off, knelt down in front of Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards with an arm extended towards Dr. Doom's face, and the scene ends. And what I'll say about this scene is a lot of us wanted more. Like, we wanted Robert Downey Jr. to pop up and be like, Sue, let me explain where I've been while Kang has been the big bad for phases 4 and 5. And like Dr. Doom brings out a whiteboard and he like explains all this shit. At least that's what I wanted. I assume that's what most people wanted. However, this is better, and I appreciate the mystery. There's a lot you could take away from this scene, but nothing super clear. Is he about to take Franklin Richards? I don't know. Seems weird to kneel down, stay there knowing Sue is right there. That seems wild. I also want to point out, in the comics, Sue Storm has a decent relationship with a lot of the Fantastic Four's villains. This is shown in the film with Mole Man, but it's all over the comics. I mean, that's where the Namor thing comes from. And the same is true of Dr. Doom. I mean, at one point, Dr. Doom helped Sue Storm save their daughter and be able to give birth. That's why the daughter of Sue and Reed is named Valeria, because Dr. Doom got to name her. So Doom actually has a decent relationship with Sue, just like many of the other Fantastic Four villains. So basically, I interpret this scene to mean that Doom is there to have a conversation, possibly to explain what is going on with the multiverse. I also think there are clues throughout the film that Doom is in fact from this universe. There are 2 separate occasions where you see a Latvian flag and some kind of council of world leaders, and Latveria is there, but nobody's there to represent them. So Latveria seems to have at one point been active on the world stage, but now has become an isolist nation. We can imagine this is because Dr. Doom has likely left this reality to examine what is going on with the multiverse. That would connect to other rumors about how Dr. Doom will be revealed and set up for the Doomsday film. Now, I want to be clear here. This post-credit scene does not give us a lot, and from here, it will be speculation. There have been reliable leakers and insiders that have talked about what Marvel's plan is behind the scenes for RDJ Dr. Doom. And so now I want to talk about that very briefly. Now look, the fact that the Fantastic Four movie has like 0 multiversal stuff is interesting, but technically there are elements here that do connect to the multiverse. Number 1, Galactus is from a different reality. That's comic book Galactus. Like, he's a dude named Galen. He's the last living being at the heat death end of a universe, and therefore this like part of the universe that is needed becomes him, or he becomes fused with this cosmic universal force. He survives the death of the universe and emerges in the new universe as Galactus. Galactus very briefly mentions this, and Reed does double down on it when explaining how old Galactus is, but the movie doesn't really hit you over the head with it. However, it technically connects this to different realities, different universes. But there's another concept here that connects to the multiverse, and that would be the bridge. Now, in the film, the bridge is a teleporter that Reed uses to first teleport the egg and then next attempt to teleport the world before finally teleporting Galactus and the Silver Surfer across the universe. But in the comics, the bridge becomes a teleporter to other universes. And we can see in the Fantastic Four film, during the part where he's talking about the different realities in front of the kids, that Reed has already started to theorize about the multiverse. It has already piqued his interest. One can assume that he will continue to research the multiverse and Galactus's friggin' ship, which as far as I understand it is just there hovering in front of Earth. And he might be like, wait, what does all of this have to do with Doctor Doom? Well, Doctor Doom's motivation and origin in the MCU is likely connected to the concept of the multiverse itself. In fact, I believe Doctor Doom might be showing up to the Baxter building in front of Sue Storm simply to then talk to Reed. And he might even be like, hey, Reed, I have to show you this, and then show him the multiverse. It's also possible Reed is already on it, examining the multiverse. He might already know what's going on, and we can postulate that because of the John Krasinski Reed Richards that we met in Universe 838. Assuming the trajectory of these universes are similar, Reed will always discover the multiverse, and he will always start to catalog and explore it. Anyway, back to Doctor Doom. Right now, the rumor is that Doctor Doom will see the coming collapse of the multiverse, and he will also see that a being known as He Who Remains, or Kang, has decided that only the sacred timeline, which is a completely curated and manufactured fake timeline, yeah, only that timeline matters. Everything else can be destroyed and will be destroyed in the next multiversal war. So the rumors are that Doctor Doom will get some kind of understanding of this and be very bitter that his universe is just going to be cast aside. That will be the motivation for him traversing the multiverse and attempting to do his mega plan, which has been rumored to be the consolidation of the multiverse into one big universe that he controls. This would match up to all of the Secret Wars comic book events, but it would be slightly different, of course, because it's the MCU. Now, to take this a step further, I personally believe Doom will look at the sacred timeline and he will see that he doesn't even exist in it. That has to be artificial. That was likely done by He Who Remains. We have some rumors and leaks to suggest that the original plan for Doctor Doom was more connected to the X-Men. And the reason that was going to happen was because both the X-Men and Doctor Doom were elements of the timeline that He Who Remains had removed from the sacred timeline. If you put all of this together, it really seems like RDJ's Doctor Doom will become aware of the multiverse. He will understand that some person after the collapse of everything created one timeline that mattered. All other timelines would eventually be discarded, and he didn't even exist in that main timeline. Now, to take it one step further, I have a personal theory here that the Tony Stark during the Infinity Saga was actually a variant of Victor that was adopted by the Starks. In fact, I believe He Who Remains did this on purpose to make sure Victor would be raised as a hero in the sacred timeline, therefore cutting off a lot of the possibilities of him becoming Doctor Doom. And wouldn't that be a mind fuck for Victor Von Doom if he looked into the sacred timeline and saw his own face, him as a variant, twisted into being adopted and raised as Tony Stark, and therefore never attaining a level of mastery of magic that Doctor Doom does. Anyway, there's a lot of speculation in there, right? But I think it sort of tracks with this post-credit scene. I think Doctor Doom is going to be aware of the multiverse collapsing and somewhat aware of how powerful Franklin Richards is because of looking around the multiverse. Doom has a plan, and he actually wants the Fantastic Four's help, which is interesting, and therefore I believe Doctor Doom is actually on that Fantastic Four ship that we see in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, that's the ending post-credit scene and the connection to Doomsday explained when it comes to the Fantastic Four movie. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.